Hi guys, it's Misty from the Book Rat, and today I'm going to be taking a look at some of my hits and misses of 2014. So I kind of petered off towards the end of 2014, partly just because of general life madness, but mostly probably because of, I say that a lot, but mostly I would say because of moving. And also I think just that's how I tend to get when we head into winter. The end of the year, I just sort of lose my focus and my desire to read the books that, number one, I'm supposed to be reading, and number two, that I actually really want to read. And instead I choose to do a lot of late night crap reading from the Kindle freebies and things like that, so it all kind of falls apart at the end of the year is what I'm saying. And so not only was I not reading a lot, but I also stopped tracking things. Beginning of September, actually, was the last time that I actually logged something on Goodreads. I mean, I would still log in every now and then and respond to friend requests and things like that, but for the most part I didn't do any actual Goodreadsing for the last quarter of the year, and that's kind of crazy. I don't think I've ever done that before. There's a very good chance that I'm going to miss out on some of the things that I read and never have them logged because I have forgotten by now what they were. This is my long-winded way of saying that even though things fell apart at the end of the year, and even though I'll definitely be missing some off of this list, I did read some pretty good things in 2014 that I want to share with you and encourage you to read. And I also read some not great things that maybe you might consider not wasting your time on. Because I only marked 50 or so on Goodreads as having read them last year, even though I know I did read more, and even though I know I had some rereads that didn't get marked, 50 is still a big number, so I'm going to try to move through these as quickly as I can, but I think I can give pretty generalized recommendations on these and be pretty quick about it, so here goes nothing. First book of the year was Once a Witch, and I definitely liked it, but I kind of forgot that I had read it, so I don't know where that falls in the spectrum. Mostly I just forgot that I read it this past year. It seems like it's been longer. Fun, funk breaker, quirky, lots of personality. I'm gonna go with a recommend. I read two graphic novels early in the year, Delilah Dirk and the Turkish Lieutenant, and The Undertaking of Lily Chen. I think I've talked about these both quite extensively, and they are both recommends. Lily Chen is not for everyone. It's dark, it's weird, it's a little disturbing, and Delilah Dirk was just awesome. Keturah and Lord Death, I cannot recommend this enough. I know not everyone will like this, but I loved this. I intend to reread this, and I'm hoping that maybe we'll reread it soonish for Wednesday YA because I gave Liz a copy for Christmas. Batter Me, another one that I can see why people wouldn't like, but I did. I intend to read more of the series, but I don't feel a burning need to read it immediately. The Cute Girl Network, take it or leave it. Something Real. I was a fan of Something Real, and I was surprised by Something Real. It didn't necessarily go where I thought it was going to go, and it went darker than I was expecting, and I loved it all the more for it. Tin Star, one of my weirdest picks, I would say, of the definitely yes, gotta get this. Weird because I know a lot of people are not going to connect to this book, but there's something that I love about those cold fish, really reserved narrators, and this one just nailed it for me. And as I mentioned in my 2015 most anticipated books, the sequel is one of my most anticipated. This book and its characters really stuck with me. The Hollow Kingdom, which was a reread for me. Oh, Marley's whining. Come on, whiny. If you're gonna be right here, you better not be heavy breathing. Lay down. Apparently I'm just gonna stand here and pet Marley for a while we talk. What were we talking about? Oh, The Hollow Kingdom. This was a reread for me, and the first time I read it a few years ago, I remember being very angry at this book, a little bitter, not pleased with it, but I realized years later that these characters still stuck with me, and I was thinking about them, and I was like, if they've stuck with me that long, I need to give them another chance. Reread it and loved it. Goes to show that your mood means a lot in your interpretation and your enjoyment of things, but yeah, loved. In the Age of Love and Chocolate, again with my love for cold fish narrators, I'm not sure that anything more needs to be said about my love of this series and how perfectly I thought that the final book wrapped it up. I read a bunch of things by Claire Kent / Noelle Adams. Same woman, same books basically told over and over, and they're kind of my candy. Every now and then I just need a fix of them. They're never great. They are definitely dirty, most of them, so if that's not your thing, avoid them. Yeah, they have flaws. They have huge flaws, but yet I just enjoy them. They're good fun. Unspoken, which was very disappointing, sad to say. We read this for Wednesday YA, and I think that was one of the most negative discussions that we've had for a book. We were all really wanting more and disappointed. Beauty was probably one of the biggest fails of the year for me. This book was just bizarre, and it had so much that could have gone right that all went wrong. It was just strange and off and did not work on pretty much any level for me. Plus One is another that I really liked but then kind of forgot about. I do want to read more of this series, and I really want to fall back in because I really did like it and I like the concept. Darkest Minds is a yes, though a lot of other people in the book club said no. Or meh, but for me it was a definite yes. Return of Zeta the Space Girl and Julie's House for Lost Creatures is just a given. Anything by Ben Hatke, anything Zeta related is an always and a reread and a must-own. Stolen Songbird is one of my most surprising of the year, I would say. Expected to like this okay, I didn't expect to love it, and I can't necessarily even pinpoint exactly what it is that made me love it, but love it I did. And this is another book where the sequel is in my 2015 most anticipated books of the year. This one summer, I wanted more. And the same goes for Ophelia and the Marvelous Boy, which I was expecting to really love, but it took me forever to get through this book. And it's a middle grade, and it's a retelling of the Snow Queen, so it really shouldn't have. Titan Magic. There was never a bit of doubt in my head that I would absolutely love this book, and I did. Please Ignore Vera Dietz. Again, there's never any doubt that I will love A.S. King books, and this was not the exception to the rule. I loved it. The Falconer was another one that I kind of was hoping to like more than I did. Again, I want to continue the series, but I don't have a burning need to. At Any Price, which I really, really enjoyed. If you're a romance fan and you like some smutty times, it's really good on that score, but it's also just excellent, excellent at building the characters and the connections. A Midsummer's Nightmare, Beauty Queens, and The Trouble with Flirting. All recommended, all very fun, and all quick, good summer beach reads. The Lost ended up being one of my favorite books of the year, hands down. Again, it's a book whose sequel is on my most anticipated list and was actually listed first. Sarah Beth Durst continues to impress me more with each consecutive book. The Truth About Alice and The Kiss of Deception. Neither went where I was expecting, both are definitely recommended, and would read more by the authors. Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I think Victoria will always win me over with her writing, but especially when it's something about anti-heroes, that's a winner. Through the Woods and Mr. Darcy Broke My Heart. Two very different books, but both kind of disappointing. I would say maybe skip them both. Maybe not Through the Woods because, I mean, it's a graphic novel, you can flip through it. The art is very good and the stories are fun and quirky. It kind of let me down a little bit, maybe because it was so reminiscent. The Scary Stories books by Alvin Schwartz. Mr. Darcy Broke My Heart was just a little scattered and chaotic. And now the cat's at the door wanting in. Seriously, guys. Come on with your kitten face. Have you met the internet yet, kitty? That's the fluffy kitten. Aw, how fluff. Go on with your fluffy face. Scarlet was a winner. I've talked about that. And I need to get my hands on Lady Thief. Aurora West and Stratford Zoo. Both graphic novel loves of mine, really liked them. My Last Kiss. Really well executed concept and a fellow Michigander, so of course she gets a like, but no, honestly, she would get a like regardless. Really did enjoy this. And I reread some Karen Marie Moning books, so obviously if it's a reread, I liked it. Not listed in my 2014 reads was Shadow Scale by Rachel Hartman, which will actually be listed among the 2015 because I finished it this year. And of course I liked it. Of course I did and would highly recommend it. Chopsticks, which was a really surprising one. I was expecting not to love this and to find it gimmicky, and though I can see why people would, I really liked it and thought it was carried off really well. Grave Mercy, which I was expecting to like but also had a dread of because I've become far less patient with big fat books, and I kind of put them off, but Liz won the day, we ended up reading it, and I ended up loving it. And as I said, there are probably more that I read, there are definitely more that I read, and a lot of them were crappy free romance novels, so they were all skip. Pass on those. But as I said, I didn't mark them on Goodreads, and I don't necessarily remember them offhand, so that, I guess, was a look at what I can remember of 2014. Mostly recommendations, mostly really good books that I enjoyed. But if I had to narrow it down to, say, 10 books, which is always really hard for me, that I definitely think that you should have in your hands or on your shelves at this moment, I'm gonna go with The Lost, Keturah and Lord Death, Tin Star, the entirety of the Birthright trilogy, which is probably kind of cheating, but you can't just start with In the Age of Love and Chocolate. Titan Magic, Body and Soul, but again, start with the first book, Titan Magic. Grave Mercy, Please Ignore Vera Dietz, Stolen Songbird, Vicious, Scarlet, Zeta, always Zeta. And I think that was 10. Maybe it wasn't. Hopefully it was. Let me know what you think of my hits and misses of 2014, and definitely share some of yours in the comments. I'm always on the lookout for highly recommended books, but also maybe the ones that I should not spend my precious dollars on. So chat with me in the comments or send me a link to your own sort of 2014 year in review, best of, worst of lists and whatnot. And that is all for this video. I will see you again on Wednesday for a little talk on Tuck Everlasting and what could tempt me to want to live forever, if anything. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys soon.